You're watching Hindustan Times, and I'm Aditi Prasad. In focus today is the Congress cracking the whip against rebels, be it Sachin Pilot or Sanjay Jha, who had openly tweeted in support of Pilot and has been tweeting and writing a lot about leadership changes within the Congress party in recent times. Sanjay, I'm joined today by Sanjay Jha, who's one of the key protagonists in the saga. Sanjay, you suspended for alleged anti-party activities and breach of discipline by the Congress. What is your response to the suspension?
Well, Aditi, right now everyone is calling me that I should be in a state of animated suspension or suspended animation. Either way, I'm pretty chilled out and happy. Yesterday, I discovered that I had apparently been indulging in anti-party activities. I don't know what that means. If telling the party how to strengthen internal democracy is blasphemous, then yes, I'm guilty. If advising the party as to how to improve its organizational structure to take on the mighty, formidable BJP is sacrilege, then yes, I am guilty. But I was stunned because I just finished a show with NDTV. And a couple of minutes later, I had a glass of water and I walked back into my drawing hall. And there I found a big broadcast saying, I'm suspended. And I was pretty stunned that I should discover that on a TV channel where I was just appearing 2 minutes ago and actually trying to defend the party. So, quite a novel experience, but we live and learn.
Why were you suspended according to you? You say that you probably have no idea that you were suspended and it just happened out of the blue. In your opinion, why did it happen? Why did the party call for your suspension?
Well, when I've reflected on it today, at some time today in the afternoon, I came to two conclusions, and I could be wrong. But my hunch seems to indicate that I spoke quite explicitly and vocally in support of Sachin Pilot. Uh, I'm probably the only person who took a open call in saying that
Mhm.
Sachin Pilot should have been made the chief minister in 2018 itself, or the fact that even today the ideal solution is to make him the chief minister and get on with business in Rajasthan. I also believe that the Congress leadership has to take responsibility for the drift, for the stasis that has come into the Congress. Losing Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, destabilizing Rajasthan. All this is an act of political harakiri. So I have been questioning the Congress political leadership, and I do believe that we need to do that because we are passionate uh, persons who believe in the Congress ideology. And if you're not questioned in your own establishment, the only people who can question you is the media and the BJP, which the Congress doesn't want to hear. So
Right.
I took a position, I spoke up, and I do feel that the trigger for my sacking has actually emerged with me taking a stance in favor of Sachin.
Your stance in favor of Sachin, but there is an Ashok Gehlot back there in Rajasthan who, in Jaipur, he has 100 MLAs standing by his side today. Is he not the man of the hour instead of Sachin Pilot as far as the Congress party is concerned?
Aditya, let me give you a couple of clarifications. Mr. Gehlot was the chief minister in 2013 when the Congress party was reduced to 21 seats, its lowest ever in its political history in the state. Between 2013 to 18, it is Sachin Pilot, as the president of the state unit, who travels over 5 lakh kilometers. I'm not joking, over 5 lakh kilometers, the length and breadth of a very complex and a difficult state, and helps the Congress to rise from 21 to nearly 100 seats and form a government. What happens? The Congress leadership chooses Mr. Gehlot to become a chief minister for the third time when there was an opportunity to let a young Sachin Pilot experience governance and political administration. Now, let me tell you where the legislators' issue is concerned that you asked me. Once the High Command said that we are choosing Mr. Gehlot as the chief minister, what do you think are the legislators going to do? They will say, yes, we support him too. So he had the backing of all the legislators. But if you truly wanted an inner democratic decision, then after the December 2018 results, there should have been a secret ballot between the legislators, and they should have been then told to vote either for Sachin Pilot or for Ashok Gehlot, and that did not happen.
So you're saying that had the party high command taken a decision and gone with Sachin Pilot, it would be Sachin Pilot who would have the backing of these 100 MLAs today.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, Aditi, one more thing. There is this whole canard being spread by a couple of people in the Congress, my fellow colleagues, because I have not been expelled yet from the party. Thank God for small mercies. Maybe after your program, even that distinguishing feature may happen. Uh, the fact of the matter is that if you, this is not the first time in Andhra, for instance, you actually had a situation where Jagan Mohan Reddy had the majority of the legislators in his support, and yet the
Hmm.
Congress chose Mr. Rosaya as the chief minister. So I think we need to get these facts right. This has not happened for the first time; it's happened before. So if the Congress High Command, probably at that point Mr. Gandhi, who was the Congress president, had backed Sachin Pilot would have been the chief minister, deservedly so. And I don't think all the drama that has happened over the last couple of days would have ever transpired. So I call this an unwarranted, a highly avoidable mess that the Congress has got into.
What is going to be the impact of Sachin Pilot's exit from the party, according to you?
Well, he's not leaving the party. I mean,
I mean,
you have
sorry,
heard it.
exit from his positions in the party as the Pradesh Congress chief and as the deputy chief minister, obviously the government positions in Rajasthan.
I think the Congress party's leadership's job was to bring about a reconciliation. I mean, the simple way out was to give Sachin Pilot the job of the chief minister that he should have got it 3 years ago. Number two is to give Mr. Gehlot, he's got a lot of political experience, he's a heavyweight politician, give him the job of reviving Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, where we have been in virtual wilderness for decades, and appoint a new leader to head your Rajasthan Pradesh Congress committee. You would have had a rejuvenated man as the chief minister. You would have a new, excited individual taking over a new assignment in Rajasthan Pradesh Congress committee. And Mr. Gehlot would have played a bigger role in the entire Congress political ecosystem. So once again, we have not handled this well. And can you imagine denying someone who actually gave you the big victory in 2018? When, if you remember, Aditi, between 2014 to 18, the Congress was basically losing each and every state that it fought.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
you get Rajasthan, and you are back to your same old status quo is politics.
So, tell me something, Sanjay. There is obviously a case for Sachin Pilot being given what he asks for.
Mhm.
There is obviously, and it's not that he's not received backing from the party. I mean, there is a Digvijay Singh who sort of has tweeted today that a young leaders should be patient, as he pointed to the various posts that Sachin has sort of held within the party. What, according to you, what more? Should he have waited a little more, Sachin Pilot? Was it? Do you agree with Digvijay Singh that maybe it's you're trying to reach your zenith a little too early in life?
I don't think so. I think in life, if you're not ambitious, you rather go and be part of an NGO and do good community work and have limited ambitions for yourself. It's not that people in NGO don't have ambitions, but I do believe that in politics, one of the crucial ingredients for success is hunger and ambition. The reasons why Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah keep winning is because they're relentless in their pursuit for power. It's a different issue that they employ sometimes very unparliamentary and unethical measures to win, which is wrong. I mean, I don't approve of political immorality to win power. But Sachin Pilot actually deserved to be the chief minister in December 2018. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Digvijay Singh, but I'll tell you why I disagree with him. That age of politics that you must wait and you must become 50 to become XYZ is over. Aditi, let me give you my own example. When I started my career, we were told by the time you become 50, you'll become general manager of this bank. And by the time you're 58, you may get a chance to become a deputy CEO. Today, my children would love to be CEO by the time they're in their early 30s. I mean, it's a new generation, it's a new world. And if Sachin Pilot got those positions, it's because he earned them, because he worked hard. And by the way, today you have presidents and prime ministers in their late 30s and early 40s. Rajiv Gandhi, by the way, was a prime minister when he was 40. What are we
Yeah.
talking about? And I think the time has come for the Congress to recognize if you've got good people, give them an opportunity. It doesn't matter. Age is not the criteria. The only criteria for your growth in the political organization of Congress should be performance and delivery. And by the way, let me add, if somebody has failed, they should make way for somebody else to come in.
Your Twitter feed still sort of you made a statement on June 14th. You tweeted that first Jyotiraditya Scindia, now Sachin Pilot. Who next? Watch this space. What were you trying to insinuate at? Were you talking about yourself, or were you talking about other leaders in the Congress who might be on their way out?
Let me be honest, I didn't have myself in mind. I think the Congress probably misread or misinterpreted what I was trying to say or insinuate in the tweet. But there are many people who are at the moment in the departure lounge and could possibly leave the Congress. And I'm saddened to tell you this, Aditi, but there are brilliant people in the Congress who have become so fed up, disillusioned, and totally broken by the level of inactivity and inertia in the party, that they are stunned into saying it's time for us to take the hard call. There are people who have called me, and not just young leaders, but senior people who are disenchanted. They're worried about the future of the Congress party. They are already beginning to kind of panic in terms of whether we'll have an opportunity to reclaim the space in 2024. 1 year has already been wasted. We don't have a leader at the moment. So, there is a lot of genuine concern. I do feel that there are many people who are going to stay within the party and fight back. But Aditi, there are some people who are clearly on the exit route.
Who are these people who you think are on the exit road? And there's one thing that I know you're not going to take names here, so I think that was perhaps not the right question to ask you. But if you have elections in the Congress today, I mean, there is democracy within the party. There are going to be, I mean, if there are elections, hands down, Rahul Gandhi is going to win. There seems to be a clamor for him to take command again. In fact, at the recent Lok Sabha MPs meeting of Congress, there were many people who said that Rahul Gandhi should come at the helm again. You have Sonia Gandhi as the interim president. You have Rahul Gandhi as a president in waiting again. What do you think is that what you think ails the Congress?
Well, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, if he decides to contest for Congress president, he's free to do so. He has a fundamental right to do so. But Mr. Gandhi himself declined and officially made a statement in a written resignation letter that he does not want to come back. He wrote that he would like somebody new to take over. If Mr. Gandhi's changed his mind subsequently, which he has a right to do so again, he can contest an election. And you're right, probably if he does contest an election, looking at the way the Congress party is, he's probably going to get a thumping majority. But can we have an election, please? That's the point we are trying to make. Can the Congress party become transparent? Aditi, let me be very frank. It is appalling that there has been no election to the Congress Working Committee since 1997, 23 years. I mean, there are certain, rules of play that need to be implemented. Give people an opportunity. The Congress president, we have had just two Congress presidents for the last 20 years. And look at the history of the Congress party pre 1947. There were people who were in a hurry to give away the Congress presidentship to somebody new. So, one of the recommendations I have made is that the Congress party must have elections within for the post of Congress president and the Congress Working Committee. And no Congress president should hold his portfolio or his job for more than 3 years. I mean, give somebody else a chance.
Today, when you say that people, that young leaders like Jyotiraditya Scindia and Sachin Pilot are not being given their dues by the Congress party, who do you think is to blame for that? And what is the way forward now?
Well, the responsibility has to be with the CWC and the Congress president, whoever it may be. At the moment, nobody has an idea as to why have we taken so long to get a leader who can take the Congress party forward for the next 3 years and right up to maybe 2024. I mean,
Right.
this is sending a negative message. Aditi, I'm sure even you experience, the fact that the Congress party seems to be going nowhere. And this at a time when Mr. Modi's government's performance has been fairly wretched, if not altogether abysmal. Whether it's economy, foreign policy, pandemic, migrants, India is at the moment a veritable mess. This was and is an opportunity for the Congress party to reclaim both its political and ideological space. Why have we surrendered it so meekly? So, end of day, I am extremely intrigued, nonplussed as to why have we not shown the vigor and the energy to be able to bring about this change.
Do you think these problems that the party is facing right now could have been nipped in the bud, especially as far as Rajasthan is concerned? For that matter, even Madhya Pradesh, yes, but Rajasthan, since because it's topical, because it's not that this problem between Mr. Gehlot and Mr. Pilot are of the last 2 3 weeks making. They've been in the making for the last 2 2.5 years, and there have been public spats that we've all been privy to between the two of them, where name calling and calling out each other on social
Mhm,
platforms.
mhm,
There's been some effort from the Congress High Command to sort of go in there and fix it. They even created a coordination committee there in Rajasthan to sort of solve this situation. But clearly, nothing has sort of sorted the situation. So it's not that no effort was made to resolve the situation. Would I be correct in saying that?
No, I don't agree with you, Aditi. The day we did not appoint Sachin Pilot as the chief minister of Rajasthan, we created a potential problem between Mr. Gehlot and him. One of them was feeling enraged that he was denied a fair opportunity, and the other, who got the space for the third time, was in a hurry to clip Mr. Pilot's wings. And you have this preposterous drama where there is a FIR, made on an issue of some recorded conversation, and the deputy chief minister in his own state has been targeted for investigation by the anti-terror squad. I mean, this is absolutely absurd. For once, the Congress party cannot blame the BJP for resort politics. So in Rajasthan, we have created this massive monumental farce where there is resort politics being played out, and the Congress, which was in a stable government, is shooting itself on its own feet. I mean, how bizarre have we got? And the fact remains that we have barely a couple of states with us. It's not that we are, kind of running 20 states, that the leadership has had no time to look at the problem of Rajasthan. By the way, Jaipur and Delhi is like one of the most famous highways, and it connects you by flight in 25 minutes. And we are barely in a few states after Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh is gone. Punjab, Puducherry, or maybe a player in Maharashtra. I mean, these are things that the leadership should have been thinking about daily. And I have said so, and I say it again, Aditi. The Congress party leadership should have just called Mr. Gehlot and Mr. Pilot on the phone and said, please come to Delhi. Or ideally, I would have gone to Jaipur if I was, somebody in the think tank or a decision maker. Why can't the Congress leader land up in Jaipur and meet up with both the leaders in whichever hotel of their choice or whichever office and say, let's fix it today. I'll spend 2 days here, let's sort it out. Meet with the legislators, sit together, hold a press conference with both Mr. Gehlot and Mr. Pilot on your left and right. Listen, if you have a will, there's a way.
Yeah, but I think that bus has left the stable now because it seems to be a point of no return for Mr. Sachin Pilot as of now. What is your opinion?
Well, I do believe that Sachin has been exemplary in his political behavior. He's not said anything wrong about anybody. He hasn't blamed people. What has he said? He said that I need dignity and respect. I need to be given operating freedom, and I don't need somebody trying to harass me and publicly humiliate me. Ultimately, Aditi, it all boils down to relationship management, not just from a senior politician like Mr. Gehlot, but also the political leadership and members of the CWC to a young leader who won for you the state of Rajasthan. And whether, if you do a dipstick survey or a national survey on behalf of HT, you will find that until Jyotiraditya was with the Congress, Jyotiraditya and Sachin were probably seen as the two most attractive options for voters within the Congress family.
And that I think is also some of the issues that the opposition in this case has been raising. Uma Bharti went on record saying that it's because of the stature of these people that Rahul doesn't let bright leaders grow in the Congress, and that was her accusation. You being a Congress party veteran, would you agree with that comment?
Well, I would disagree with it. I don't think Rahul Gandhi is such an insecure man as to, allow his own party to break up because you'll be only inheriting a broken car if that is the case. I really don't think so. But this is a terrible reputation for Mr. Gandhi. This is what happens when your house is not in order. The opposition is going to throw mud at you, and a lot of it ultimately does stick. Which is why I'm saying that whether it's a corporate company, whether it's a media organization like yours, whether it's a political party, you never lose good people. Ultimately, all of us are determined by the quality of people we have. And for the Congress party to lose two of its best young leaders back to back, I mean, that's absolutely an act of self-destruction.
All right. So I'm going to let you go, but before that, Sanjay Jha, one question. Your Twitter headline or your post still reads: "Congressee by DNA, sacked and suspended. My big blunder, fought for internal democracy. Suggested changes to revive the party. Challenged with Rip Van Winkle leadership." What do you mean by this Rip Van Winkle leadership?
Well, clearly the leadership has been sleeping. And I do believe that the Congress party has not responded with either speed, a sense of urgency, or hunger. And I'll say this again in the end, Aditi. If the Congress can come back in 2024, that's the best part of the news. Some of us are aggressive in our outbursts, if you want to use that term, because we believe the Congress can come back in 2024. But you need the hunger to win. You need an attitude. You need energy. We need drive. You need to be out there. We're not going to succeed if we're going to sit in Delhi and be accused of Darbari politics and of being part of your Lutyens cabal. That's not the way forward. The Congress has to hit the nukkad, the villages. Please be on social media. Nobody's saying no. Please do television. That's equally important. Yes, but kindly go out there amongst the people, because that's where India is going to be finally determining who's going to be running them in 2024.
Uh, just before I leave you, Sanjay, do you think your thoughts? Obviously, I'm sure Rahul Gandhi knows this, Priyanka Gandhi knows this, even Sonia Gandhi knows this. It's not something. I mean, to win elections, you have to go out and win people over, reach out to in nukkards and cabals. So clearly, they are aware of these facts, right?
Well, there's only one fact that hits me hard every day. In 1984, even if it was a black swan election because Mrs. Gandhi got assassinated that year, but the Congress had 414 seats in the Lok Sabha and 48.5% of the vote share. If today we are down to 19.5% in vote share and we have only 52 seats, if that is not a daily reminder to the leadership in the Congress, when I say leadership, I just don't mean the Congress president or the Gandhi family, but everyone in the party who has a role to play. I mean, we need to wake up and smell the coffee. And don't forget, in the same 1984, the BJP had 7.5% of the vote share and two
Right.
seats. And today the BJP is at 37% of vote share, which is like almost gone up 500%. And they are in parliament with 303 seats. I think this is what the Congress needs to think daily and make sure that it does something to change the script.
Right. So Congress needs to wake up and smell the coffee. Does that coffee include the new coffee that you are recommending? Does that include use a leadership without the Gandhi family? Is that what you're insinuating here?
Well, I think, as I say, the proof of the drinking is in having it. So here goes my coffee.
All right. Thank you,
A
Sanjay Jha.
Congress,
Thank you
a
for joining
Congress
us.
party, a Congress party without the Gandhis, it'll be a unique experience. It'll be unprecedented, but I can tell you, it will work.
You think a Congress party without the Gandhi family will work better than what it's doing now?
I'm not going to comment on better or worse because that's a question of perspective. But all those who are spreading the canard that the Congress party will disintegrate, that minus the Gandhi, there is going to be no magnetic appeal. If you don't change, when are you going to experience whether it works or not? So, to those who are, what I call as Cassandras or the prophets of doom, who believe that the Gandhis must continue, otherwise the Congress is finito, to them I will say, well, why don't you just try and experiment? Simple.
Right. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you sharing your views with our viewers and our audience. Thank you so much for joining
My
us.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.